Carl Higbee interviewed Trump for Newsmax. Now, I don't know why they clipped this the way they did, but they cut off a bunch at the beginning for the clip that they posted, and they cut off a bunch at the end. But this is Trump doing a primetime interview with Carl Higbee Sellers. Branded! Grave danger. Trump warns of world stage volatility under Harris-Biden incompetence. Jesus, they just threw those words up and just whatever order they landed in, they just typed them out.
Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. Think of the different world we'd have right now.
Yeah, well, Ian, I tell you personally, I was in Iraq, never Afghanistan, but it hurt my soul to see this rapid pullout, and they try to blame it on you as, well, you have...
Oh, wait. So, there's been a really weird twist in the post-Afghan mythology, the post-Afghanistan mythology, where Trump has started doing this whole thing about how the Taliban was not living up to their, to the standards of the Doha Treaty, which were ridiculous and silly anyways and whatever. And he can't make up his mind whether we were going to leave at all. And I would argue that, in the keeping of Bagram, and that we should have put more military people in there, that he was literally planning on staying across the board. That's where we're going with this. Listen to this description, because this is some of the most insane, rewriting of history. I don't even know if Higbee knows what the fuck he's talking about. You'll see.
Had a plan. Well, yes, there were metrics to be met. How do you respond to them?
Well, I heard the other day they tried to blame it on me. For a while they didn't because it doesn't play. But we had a great plan, and they understood the plan. But
he means the Doha agreement.
The plan was subject to doing a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But number one, you don't pull out the military first, okay? They pulled out the military first. You pull out the military last. First, you get your American citizens out. You get some other people that were loyal to us out, not the number of people that they took. But there are people like interpreters and others that were very loyal to us that are probably maybe gone now or in great danger. We just took out thousands and thousands of people. Half of the people we took out were probably terrorists. But
yeah, so the Afghans that we saved, probably terrorists. Adorable. Also, the argument seems to be that not only were the Taliban not living up to their side of it, but that the Biden administration wasn't living up to our side of the Doha agreement, which we didn't have an agreement strategically to how we would leave. Basically, the agreement just said, on this date, we're out.
We had a plan, and those people, think of it, because of how badly it was done, 13 dead, many horribly wounded, $85 billion worth of equipment.
Gibberish.
Goes to them. They display it every year at their little parade.
No, they don't. And Carl is looking at him right now going, none of this is true. But I love this man, so I'm all in on this bullshit.
Have a parade where they show the Americans with the equipment.
No, they don't. The Taliban does not have a yearly parade where they have American citizens strapped to tanks and airplanes that we left behind that they show off and beat their chest and are proud. This is just fucking dumb.
Plan was subject to following certain steps, and they didn't follow those steps. And I told my people, nope, it's dead.
See that? Listen to this. But on his way out, so according to him, while he was still president, after the election, before January 20th or whenever this conversation was supposedly had, somewhere between the election and then, nope, they're not living up to the Doha agreement. It's dead. Which meant we're not leaving. That's fucking gigantic. That is, it's insane, but what an admission.
And then they'd follow the steps. And it was phase 2, and they had to follow the steps. They had to follow all of the stuff. They didn't do any of it, and that would mean it was dead. Now then, once we called them on it, because it was subject to, they started doing everything perfectly. It would have been perfect. But these people, they took it over. They had no idea. They just moved. But here's the...
All right, does anybody know what the fuck that was? So apparently, the Taliban was violating the Doha agreement. He says it's dead. Then they start living up to it, I guess, after the 5,000 soldiers were done killing Afghan soldiers as they cascaded across the entire fucking country.
The thing, you have to move the military out last, because once the military moved out, it was a disaster. And then they had that lift, that so-called airlift that was so horrible. That's where we lost our 13 young soldiers.
Yeah. By the way, no, we didn't. They were killed guarding the civilian side of the Afghans that were leaving.
But a lot of people so horrifically wounded. You know, Carl, they never talk about that. They never.
You talk about it all the time, and you can't name a fucking one of them.
Never like to talk about no arms, no legs, the face just wiped out. They talk about the 13 dead, and of course we shouldn't. I got to know those families; they're incredible people. But they never talk about soldiers that lost a leg or both legs or both arms, right, or a soldier that lost 2 arms and 2 legs.
What the, or one hand and half a foot and then an ear, and then they don't talk about, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Is otherwise very badly wounded beyond that with the face.
Seriously. Like, this is his thing. Like, he doesn't even want to go in and talk to these folks. He doesn't like to meet with, like, people who are, I mean, he wouldn't even, like, shake hands with that, like, Sam Johnson or whatever, the Nevada Republican who's running, who's a burn victim. Like, he skipped shaking hands with the dude at the RNC. Because he just, like, he's grossed out by it. This is him being grossed out about it. It's not him caring.
And nobody ever talks about that. And it's so horrible what that was. That was such a, I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country.
All right, why embarrassing?
I would.
Because he has, I'll tell you why he says embarrassing. Because he can't feel shame, but he can be embarrassed. So he translates that outward. He doesn't. Shame means you're aware of your shortcomings. Embarrassed means people saw you for who you were, and so that's why that word triggers him.
I would agree, sir. The other thing you didn't mention, Kim Jong-un. All right, this is someone who hasn't gotten a lot of attention recently, but you know.
Oh yeah, the guy who rapes myriads of concubines, starves his own people, kills people for not smiling enough. Great dude. In your book, you talk about he had an opportunity like no other to be remembered as a leader who ushered in a glorious new era of security and prosperity. Glorious? For his people. Jesus Christ. Did the North Korean press write this for you?
Well, people don't give you credit for crossing that line and going into that country and having a conversation with him.
You mean recognizing that asshole who killed his way to the top? Why? What did he do? It didn't slow down his military. It didn't slow down him building missiles.
Well, I did, and I got along with him great.
Right, because you both feel the same way about women.
And he liked...
Yes, Stargal kills people for not smiling enough. And you ever see the North Korean parades and all that kind of shit where people have to, like, congratulate him on his fucking birthday and all that stuff, all the videos that they show of how much the people love him? They kill some of the people who don't smile convincing enough.
To me, and I must tell you, I got along with him great. I can't say, if I'd say I like him, the press would say, oh, he liked Kim Jong-un. I got along with him great. I understood him.
Well, that's how you get things done.
By the way, tough guy.
What'd he get done? Carl, what did he get done? What changed?
Guy, smart guy, and we were not in danger. You know, when I took over, I sat with President Obama.
Hey, asshole. Carl, you just pointed out that we haven't heard from that guy in a while. Right? There hasn't been a lot of saber rattling. There hasn't been a lot of, like, rockets launched or any of that kind of shit. And it didn't take Biden kissing his ass. We heard a lot more from him when this asshole was, like, basically his press agent. Holy fuck. MS-13, like... They basically hired John Barron to be their PR rep.
And which is a tradition, as you know. You sit sometimes for 10 minutes and sometimes for a long time. I sat with him a long time, actually. And I said, what's the greatest problem? He said, North Korea. That's Kim Jong-un. And I said, have you spoken to him? Have you talked to him? No. Have you called him? And, you know, I guess they were a little bit vague on that. The answer is they tried calling. He wouldn't talk to the Americans. He wouldn't talk to them.
Bullshit.
but he talked to me. And
also, no, there was never a situation where we were calling Kim Jong-un and he wasn't returning our fucking phone call. Not ever. You absolute asshole.
we had meetings. We had 2 meetings. And I will tell you, it was amazing. We became, let's put it this way, we were not in danger. And South Korea was not in danger. Now South Korea is in great danger. And he has a tremendous nuclear stockpile. And he doesn't like the people in this. He doesn't like our leaders at all. He says it very
Yes, and he's flinging garbage over the DMZ.
openly. He's very plain spoken in that sense. He says it very openly.
So what? I don't want him to like our leaders. If he does, something's fucked up.
But we had a very good relationship. I had a great relationship with Putin. Putin would never have done what he did without me there. In fact, they started lining up at the border
Sorry, without you there?
after I left. And I said, he must be doing that for purposes of negotiation.
Right, you're an idiot. He wasn't. He was planning on attacking. What was the negotiation? They made no offer to do anything. What was the negotiation? We only want to take a little more of your country, but let us kill a bunch of women and children first, just to, otherwise my people will think I'm a wuss.
Good negotiator.
Did he say sock piles? Is that what happened? Hold on, 1 second. Hi. Okay, hold on 1 moment. Talk amongst yourselves.
That Rachel shows on at 6.
Okay, yeah, the Vindman thing?
I'm recording it.
Oh, great. Okay. Summer's got to go to the show, and then I got to Uber to the. We're going to miss each other just as we're coming through, so excuse me. A little bit of lipstick on myself. It's okay. It's my color. It's fine. All right. Anyways, back to where we were for this last little bit.
And I think he was. And then he got, I will say this, Biden said the worst things. He said the exact opposite of what he should have said.
Which was what?
But I believe Putin lined up at the border to negotiate, and
That's because you're an idiot.
he ended up in a war that's so bad for everybody.
Sorry. He lined up at the border to negotiate, and when he didn't get what he wanted, he launched a full-scale attack on Ukraine, including bombing the capital and Lviv, which is like fucking, firing like from the east coast of the United States, towards Los Angeles. So,
And it could lead to World War III.
all right, yeah, well, then maybe he made a bad decision. Talk to your fucking friend and tell him to knock it off.
This group of leaders, the same people that did Afghanistan, do you know, we said,
Hey, asshole, they didn't do Afghanistan. They ended Afghanistan. You did Afghanistan. You ran on getting us out and never did. And we now know, according to the beginning of this interview, you never intended to.
Afghanistan was bad. You'd know this better than anybody because you were such a big military guy and hero. The Afghanistan situation, Milley should have been fired. Everybody that even touched it or smelled it should be fired.
Smelled it? Smelled it. Everybody that touched it or smelled it should be fired. Feels like you're telling us you just fired Laura Loomer.
He didn't fire anybody. And we have the same people dealing with Russia and nuclear weapons right now as we had in Afghanistan.
Out of Afghanistan. And yes, we do. And so far, nothing from North Korea towards us. Russia's just doing the same whinging they did around Chechnya and Georgia. They're getting their ass kicked. Let's see, what else?
The most embarrassing moment, I think, in the history of our country. So hopefully we're going to win the election. We're going to get it all changed. I'll get that war settled.
Sorry, get it all changed. What are we going back into Afghanistan?
Before I even become president. I will get it settled while I'm president-elect. and the Middle East. You know, we did the Abraham Accords. We did
Yes, the greatest peace treaty between countries that weren't actually fighting.
so many things. The capital, we had Jerusalem declared capital because we moved our embassy into Jerusalem.
Yes, that's why Yahweh Sinwar said they started planning October 7th when you did that.
Not only moved it, we got it built. I got it built in a very rapid fashion.
Right, so it's easy to spy on.
You know, I spent $500,000 building the embassy. I said, find a building. They were going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to purchase a piece of land that wasn't as good as land we already owned.
Yeah.
I said, let me ask you a question. Do we own land? Yes. Where? They said, we'll report back. They come back 2 days later. They say, we own a piece here, best location, because we were there early, you know, we were there very early.
Yeah.
We had the best location. Said, is there a building on it? Yes. Is it a good building structurally? Yes. I said, let's have fun. Let's build an embassy for peanuts. We built it.
And that's right about the time you were laughing with Lavrov and the other dude who's now dead in the Oval Office. And then a few weeks later, some of our Israeli agents died.
For $500,000, think of that. Using Jerusalem stone, because there are plenty. It's a very expensive stone outside of the United States. I mean, you have to
Well, if your tariffs go through.
see this. One of the most expensive stones, but in Jerusalem, not expensive. I said, let's use Jerusalem stone. And what happened is we ended up building it. They would have spent $2 billion. They were planning on spending $2 billion to build an embassy in Jerusalem.
Gee, I don't know why you would want to spend a lot of money fortifying a building in Israel. It's not as if the place is constantly under attack. You know what? Fuck our ambassador and everybody who works with him, I guess. What do I know?
I built it for almost nothing. Nobody talks about it, but that's okay. And it's actually a gorgeous embassy. If you spent $2 billion, it wouldn't be as nice as the one you have right now. But we had the land for free. We did some renovation and some of an existing building, which was a very good building that wasn't being used.
Right.
And it was sort of a great thing. We did a lot for Israel, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And by the way, Israel
Yeah, sure. I don't know what, but
is in very grave danger.
okay. So that's the
omniscient edict.
oh,
Man,
shut up. I gotta turn this on, and then there's more. There's got to be more. Is there more of this bullshit? There's got to be. Higbee, is it? Is it? I thought I saw a clip of one available at the very end. You know.
Sort of,
Yeah.
sort of
here
a
you
great
go.
thing.
Yeah, this is it.
Well, I want to talk about your new book. Already.
Okay, so this, by the way, this is how they all get him. He's selling his Save America picture book. Anything to not have to do any writing. They basically just take bits of speeches and stuff and then transcribe them and put them in the book. And he handwrites a note like, "This is what happened to me on this day," and then they sell it.
Already a New
Maggots.
York Times bestseller, Save America.
I am actually concerned about the environment, Trump. Okay, why do you say so? I believe it.
It's your third book since leaving office. It talks about your time in the Oval Office, after the Oval Office, up to and including this assassination attempt, the first assassination attempt, I'm sorry to say. The cover obviously features that iconic photo. You wrote in there about, you knew you were in big trouble, but there was blood pouring down your face everywhere, and yet you said you felt very safe because God is on my side.
Yeah, no, he felt very safe because there were 9 people wearing bulletproof vests on a dog pile on top of him who were literally paid by the taxpayer to take a bullet so he doesn't.
Well,
And also because we arranged the whole thing and it was all, no, okay.
I maybe even feel that more now. And somebody
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're close. Yeah, closer, my lord, to thee.
said the other day, but a lot of people say it, that it was really God that saved me because he wants me to save the country. The country's
That's right. And he's like, and he's like, if it costs me a firefighter, that's how I'm going to do it. Now, I could have saved him by the guy's car crashing on his way there, I guess. But where's the fun in that?
is going so bad with everything that's happening.
Yeah, everything. So bad, especially the stock market. Obviously, you know, Truth Social's killing it, but
Between inflation that's ruining people, it's ruining people. It's killing our senior citizens. And
It is. They're just dying. Obviously not as much as your mismanagement of COVID, but okay.
And a lot of other people too, but
Yeah, mostly the old people. Now obviously it's mitigated by the cap on the cost of their medications and $35 insulin.
you have the war with Ukraine and Russia that's going to end up in World War III with these people because they don't know what they're doing. You just take a look at Afghanistan, how badly that was handled. So,
oh, terrible, terrible. We should still be there.
I mean, you're a military guy. That was handled. That's the worst thing probably you've ever witnessed.
Fuck me. Did he just talk about this the whole goddamn time? Rob Glenn sent me something, and I see you and feel you, my friend.
I've never seen such incompetence. Because of that,
Oh, you mean in your cabinet stuff? You mean you're not doing any of the prep work for the deal you created, and you were going to scrap the whole Doha agreement we now know because you're a lying piece of shit?
Putin went in. But Putin would have never gone in with me anyway. But because of that, Putin went in. And then you look at what's happening now in the Middle East with Israel and all of this. Think of it.
Yeah, so let me get this straight. Putin saw us leaving Afghanistan and went, now that the United States isn't blowing hundreds of millions of dollars a week in Afghanistan, it's the perfect time to attack an ally of theirs and a friendly country to Europe, because America now has all this excess money from the DOD that they would be spending in Afghanistan that they could give to a country like Ukraine. Perfect fucking timing. So I think now's the time to go in. And boy, was I right. At 700,000 dead Russians later, Russia just got invaded by the country it invaded. Brilliant. So obviously Putin took a bad cue. I gotta say, he saw what happened in Afghanistan. He was like, now's my chance. Turned out not quite. Also, Hamas apparently seeing the exact same thing and getting instructions from Iran, from Russia via Iran, to do October 7th. They decide to do this, murder a bunch of people, rape women, drag their dead bodies naked through the streets as people spit on them and all that kind of stuff, because now's the perfect time. And Lord knows they're on the winning side of that exchange, wouldn't you say? We're almost a year from October 7th now. How well is Gaza doing thanks to these assholes who went, Russia's right, we should just attack, now's our chance? Do you think it ever occurs to this asshole when he's saying these things that strategically both of these groups, the Russians and Hamas, made a terrible fucking decision? That they saw whatever they saw in Afghanistan, which turned out to be the opposite of what they thought they saw, and both of them have just reaped the fucking whirlwind. None of it went how they thought it was going to work. All of it has been fucking terrible. Right? Why would you go, Putin was just fucking around, and then he was like, oh, well, this is going to be easy. Jesus. We're almost done, and then I'm going to send you over to the major.
If I were president, none of it would have happened, Carl.
Yeah, because he would have just given it to him. And also, Yahweh Sinwar said specifically that your policy towards Israel and your blatantness about it is why Hamas decided to do this attack.
None of it. No inflation, no war.
If you didn't have inflation, that means your economy was collapsing.
Or in the Middle East, they would not have attacked Israel.
There was war in the Middle East the entirety of his presidency.
They weren't in a position to do it. They never would have been.
Also, how much money do you think the fucking October 7th attack costs? For real. Hamas's bombs are made out of fucking fertilizer and sugar and shit. And the casings are water pipes put there by us and our allies and Israel. They dig them up and make bombs. And then just like loose rockets. They don't give a fuck where they land. They just fire them, hoping some of them will get through the Iron Dome. They don't give a shit.
And Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. Think of the different world we'd have right now.
Okay, so yeah,
Surely.
that leans into what he was saying in the beginning of that. So, all right. No one, I think I can say unequivocally, my lovelies, that no one needs any more of that shit from that dude. So I got to go pack, and then I got to catch a plane tonight to go to Durham, where I get to take a red eye, get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, take that, I guess, an Uber to the hotel, which hopefully they've already checked me in for tonight, because I have to get the hotel the night before, because it's got to be ready when I get there so that I can do radio when I'm bagged out as shit. So wish me luck. Then I get to nap for about 2 hours, and then I get to do sound check, and then I nap for 2 more hours, and then I do a show, and then I adrenalized because of the show. We do the meet and grope, and then after that I go to sleep, and I get up and go to the airport at like 5 o'clock in the morning and catch a 7 a.m. flight back home. So, you know, the next 31 hours, insanity. But, you know, it's a thing. Also, next Tuesday, Linda Carter is putting together this thing, Geeks and Nerds for Harris, and I am a part of it. So we're going to be doing a little I Love the 1870s segment about the Comstock Act, and also I don't know if you know this, but pedestrian racing. You know, like speed walking is now in the Olympics. You think that's new? It's not. In the 1870s, at the same time we had the Comstock Act come into play, pedestrian races were a big deal. People walking places. And they would walk for 6 days straight until you keeled over. That's true. Till you just passed out. Anybody was still awake after 6 days of walking, 6 days straight. And you know why they did 6 days? Because on the seventh day the Lord rested. That's true. Go look up the pictures. It's hilarious. The pictures of people in like their bathing costumes because they get all sweaty, walking in Madison Square Garden in a dirt circle. So I love the 1870s for that. And then of course next Wednesday is my birthday, and then following Friday is Flappers, and the following Saturday is Phoenix. Very exciting couple of weeks. Phew! And then Kansas City after that, like 2 weeks later. Man, oh, Shevitz. I adore you. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And thank you guys. Look at the crowd we got in here. It's huge. That's because this is the greatest live stream that has ever existed. And I'm Hal Sparks, the most Hal Sparks person you've ever seen. Hal Sparks in your old Hal Sparks in life. It's true. Oh, and because, yeah, I don't even know that I'll be able to do it while we're there. I feel like we should at least pay some level of tribute to the kidney while we're here.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, look, you could argue, but why?